God did not count equality with God something to be grasped, but he emptied himself by taking the form of a servant. In some of your translations, it will say bondservant or a slave. This is called the great humiliation. The greatest humiliation known is that God would become a man. God in all of his holiness, in all of his splendor, without a blemish, a spot, or wrinkle, because of his depth of love for humanity, for you and for me, saw you as he sat from heaven, saw your condition, saw your situation, and he loved us so much that he emptied himself and came down to see about each one of us.
Yeah.
And it says here, but he emptied himself by taking on the form of a slave, being in the likeness of men, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. What we need to know about the mind of Christ is that it's ours from Christ. Secondly, we need to know that it's rooted in humility. That here again, that he emptied himself. He came down himself. He couldn't find an angel. He couldn't find a junior associate. He couldn't find anybody else to represent him. So he said, I'll go myself. Because this is big stuff. This is important. This must be done correctly. So he came down in human form, experienced the greatest humiliation, that God would conform himself into the body, the framework of a man, and enslave himself to the things of this world.
Yeah.
And being found in human form, he humbled himself to the point of death. Even death on a cross. That's the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
Humility, to count others more important than yourself. Not to say you get it for yourself, I hope it works out. But to get involved, to go and do something on somebody else's habits, for the sake of somebody else. To lift up the cares and the concerns of somebody else above your own. That's humility. That's the mind of Christ. That's the activity that we see of Jesus Christ. That he wasn't stuck on himself and that he was splendid and so high and lifted up. But he said, for the sake of the people, I got to exercise humility and empty out myself of my independence, separate myself temporarily from the Father, and take on the slavery, the bondservant of a person being conformed to the likeness of a person. That's what he did for us. And now he calls us to do that for the sake of others. You have the mind of Christ because Christ gave it to you. It's rooted in humility. And it's the source of our power. It's the source of our strength. He says, therefore, God has highly exalted him. Just called him a slave. Just called him a servant. But now it says that God has exalted him because he obeyed. God has exalted him and bestowed, given him a name that is above every name.
Yeah.
A name that's above every name. This reminds me of our Bible study when David stood in front of Goliath. He says, oh, Goliath, I feel for you because you come at me with sword, javelin, and spear. But to contrast that, but I come at you in the name of the Lord of hosts. He says, I come at you in the name of the one who has control over every angel. I mean, that's some going to work testimony right there.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that family dinner that I've been dreading because I didn't want to deal with my cousin or my loved one. I'm ready because he tells us, he says, in the name, in the understanding of who he is, I can go into all things. Giant 9'6", his hat weighs 200 pounds. He says, it matters not. Amen. All the trained men are running and fainting. Here I am, a 17-year-old boy, and I can stand up because I come at you in the name of the one who has the control over every angel in heaven.
Yeah.